I'd like to thank you for being here. Without you, I'll be useless. So hopefully today we'll enjoy a few minutes, I think it's more than 60 minutes, of interaction about how to maximize our performance as parents or even educators or grandparents as well, if you are one. Anyway, talking about performance, we need to think what kind of performance. Is it as a parent or is it as an individual performer yourself when you're dealing with sports, when you're dealing with work, career, and other things? So let's see your major concerns. What are your major concerns at home? So let's start from there. Jennifer, or okay. Yeah, you can spell it out, or you can use a friend's name or something. You don't have to be. Yes.
Imagine kids' anxiety.
Anxiety for with kids,
Yeah.
in terms of
Like their anxiety.
homeworks or sports or.
Yeah, like competitive sports.
I
Their
see.
food is pretty competitive in
Okay.
general.
All right, anxiety and like kids that are toddlers or teenagers or.
5 and 8.
Okay, 5 and 8. Wow, they're competitive.
Yeah, they're competitive.
Yeah. Yes.
Academics.
Academic performance.
Yes.
Okay. So we have some issues of focusing, concentration, sustaining maybe attention towards the subject. Okay. That's common now. Bob, you're a pediatrician, so you must have some issues from parents.
Parents that deal with a lot of children deal with a lot of stress.
Stress.
A lot of
Parent stress or kids? Or
parent
both?
stress passed to the kids.
Or they're codependent
Yeah.
stress. Both of them give each other stress. Okay. All right, so stress. Robert, you are owner of a facility dealing with kids. What do you find in kids when you're training them?
A lot of times it's attention, the attention deficit
Yeah.
issue, and focus.
Focus. And Matthew, you are a trainer.
Absolutely. It's empowering them to get out and learn who they are.
Okay.
Not who we tell them they are.
Yeah. Understanding who they are. Okay, that's a very philosophical question, but it's necessary because kids today associate themselves with just peers and playmates and TV and music. They forget to search from within, right? Yes, Debbie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I reiterate, I have a 20-year-old and just going through a lot of anxiety, and it's the peer pressure of turning 20 is like the end of your life.
End of your
it's
teenage life.
like- Because of what's, she sees in society about all
Yeah.
these successful people.
Yeah, 20-year-olds is like a demarcation, delineation point between a teenager and a young adult. So,
Yeah.
like identity crisis, Especially 20 to 21 is what we call last cycle. There are 7 cycles. From 14 to 21 is one cycle. From birth to 7 is another cycle, and 21 to 28, and so on. Even 42 to 48, this is like 7 cycles. Like seasons of life are governed by years, of 7 years. The 20 to 21-year-olds are on the crisis cycle, meaning to say they are more oppositional, they are more emotionally reactive, sensitive. And then when they're 21, they recover back the power. 21 to 22 is like the power cycle. Whereas 20 to 21 and even 6 to 7-year-olds are on a crisis of opposition. They become like opposition dysfunction disorder, some kind of resistance. 17 to 18-year-olds are on an emotional crisis mode. That's our most difficult years, 17 to 18, 20 to 21, and even 13 to 14, and 10 to 11. Those are cycles which we call fourth cycle and last cycle, amongst the 7-year cycle. I have rediscovered the 7 cycles laws of creation, which includes time to destroy, time to create, and time to preserve. Those cycles come in, and when they are in a destructive mode, destroyer mode, it's hard for them to create nor preserve. They're always opposing, they're always rebelling. And there's a time that they are also in a creative mode, and then preservation mode. So I will touch about the Trinity principle later on. So you will see that even you are governed by these 7-year laws or the 7 cycles platform. Like if you are 48, 49, that's one of the most difficult time of your life. It's a destruction phase. Or if you were 34 going 35, or 41 going 42. Those years are the destruction years, where whatever you build tends to destroy. As if you are against the escalator, like moving upward and the escalator is going down. So the 7 cycle principle is very, very important for parenting, for psychology, and profiling children, and even teaching them values. Discipline is not the mark of a 20-year-old. A 21, 22, yes. But 20 to 21 is a difficult cycle for parents to deal with their children because they are on a rebellious mode during those times. It's not just about adulthood. All right, what else are your other concerns from the back?
I've got 3 girls. One had Down syndrome, the biggest.
Oh,
So
how old is the
14.
14 with a Down syndrome?
Yeah, and then I have, well, she's not the problem. The problem is a 9-year-old. She's,
9-year-old.
I just went into my bedroom and cried the other day because I'm like, there's nothing I can do. She's rebellious.
She's
And
she's
she's
oppositional or just emotionally rebellious?
With herself. Like he's,
Or she doesn't like herself, or she doesn't
I
like...
think she doesn't like herself. She starts with
Okay.
image things, dumb
Come in.
things. And the little one that's, she's going to be 8.
Okay, there are children that are conceived, that were conceived a certain cycle of their parents, according to the 52 cycle rhythm for a year, that it positions the conception during a rebellious time of the parents themselves. You can transfer a DNA of rebellion through your children during conception. So when we plot your problems, we plot your cycles with the children when you conceive them and when you give birth to them. You see, it's the personality DNA comes with cycles of conception. And the relationship between parents and children comes with birth. It's a psychology that I have mastered. I even taught this in Sony Corporation in New York to executives to plot what is the best time to launch a project and when is the best time to conceive projects. And I can plot the projects that will do good and projects that will go down south by when they conceive it and when they execute them. So it's a psychology that is being taught to a lot of doctors, psychologists, schools, and educators and parents. I taught this to a lot of corporate CEOs to master the power of timing of decisions as well. So those are tools that you will understand the psychology of your relationship with your children. Because why does do your other children have rebellious and others don't? And one is affiliated more friendly to the father than the mother. What is the cause? It can be seen in the chart. And once you understand your chart with respect to one of your children, and the others, which is sweet to the father and not to you, you would know that it comes from the cycle of conception and birth. This is what we profile children based on conception and birth. And it's a new shape of thinking when you are a parent to be able to understand why they act as such and others do not act as such. So it's a very, I would say, clarifying experience when you start to see the charts. It is not astrological chart, but it is similar to the energy that you have when you conceive the baby and when you have given birth to the baby. It's a new science to me because it's not written, but it has been experienced by more than, I would say, 14 years of my life researching. And I would not make any decision today without consulting the 7 cycles chart. Even a lot of people who are buying companies and mergers and acquisitions, they consult me for that matter of when is the best time to execute what idea. Because you can have the best idea, but wrong timing. Have you heard this saying, everything is timing? Timing is everything? So there's something that deals with timing to execute the most important things based on the auspicious time. The word auspicious is the best timing to do things. We can talk about that later on, but performance does not come only in terms of your eagerness to do good. It comes sometimes with certain principles like timing, energy, your mental conditioning, your emotional conditioning, your past conditionings, and even your foresight. So I would talk about some of these principles later on. Let's make first a survey. I don't see your name tags, but would you want to express your concern today or your expectations?
One?
Yes, yes.
I guess expectation.
Huh?
You're saying one or the other? What are my expectations?
Yeah, or
from learning today?
yes.
To be honest with you, I came with my mom, so your guess is as good as mine.
And he's a 20-year-old going on to 21.
You're 20?
Yeah, I'm 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's
So I hit the nail, huh?
Yeah, I guess when you were talking there, some things were coming about. I guess I could be a little bit more patient. So I want to learn a little bit about being more patient. As a 20-year-old, you tend to be thinking about the future, and you're always worried about what's going on, and you don't live in the moment too much. So I guess helping me with that would probably be beneficial.
Yeah. When you're overthinking about future, sometimes anxiety seeps in, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Good. All right. Who else would like to contribute so we can move on with the whole topic? On the back, is it Nancy?
Me? It's Mary.
I'm Mary.
Okay. A friend invited me, and I don't know what you teach.
Oh.
So I'm here.
Who invited you here?
Luisa.
Luisa.
She's not here.
Alatori.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But she's coming. But I don't know what to expect because I don't know what you do. So
Okay.
She knows I like her energy and I like all these.
Yeah, we are talking about maximizing performance in terms of parenting and education. And of course, not only, when I say parents, do not take me only as a parent for children. As an individual, you need something. Sometimes you have what we call compassion fatigue. You are exerting so much time and effort to your children that you forget yourself, and then you get sick or you get burnout, so your moods will affect your parenting. See? Sometimes it's not about your children, it's about you, and then the parents relate with the children. So if you are not aligned, or if you are internally stressed and burned out and you cannot sleep well, therefore your parenting skills will be affected. As opposed if you were aligned and happy and doing good, your parenting will be like a natural thing. Because when you don't love yourself and when you're not inspired with your results as an individual, you affect even your spouse or your other people around you. So it has to come from yourself first. The children will be better if you are happier, healthier, and more harmonized, because that is projected to other people around you. So I always start performance with an individual performance. Then it is easier to manage your role performance as a career person or as a salesperson or as a parent. So the question is, what deters you from not performing? So let's start first as you, as an individual. And either you're a 20-year-old or a 70-year-old, there must be some common things that bars you or obstructs you from not performing. What are they? So when we identify that, then we can solve it. Yes?
Fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown. Okay. So anxiety comes in when you have fearing something you don't even know, that you just feel, especially fear of your future, or insecurities about your state of consciousness, or unforeseen things. Okay, so fear of the unknown. What else? What really stops you from performing? Okay, let's start first the emotional side. Once we know the emotional side, we go to the mental side, and we go to the energy side and physical side. And then we delineate everything and we group them together into a solution. Because today we will have a solution. Yes? Any other, any obstructions of performance? Yes, okay.
Feeling overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed from work or from the parenting's job?
Sometimes just life in general, just
Whole
trying to balance
thing?
everything.
How to juggle priorities? Yeah, especially today, we have all high-speed internet, high-speed phones, 4Gs, but we always say we don't have time. It's what we call time poverty. We have more and more things to do, and even with the faster gadgets, we still have not enough time to do things. So prioritizing our most urgent important things is also a science and an art. A lot of people today are preoccupied and overwhelmed with doing things that are urgent but not important, or important things but not urgent. And yet they have so much urgent and very important things that are left behind undone. So how do you classify your priorities? You make a list of them, things you want to do. And from the things you want to do, you classify things that is urgent, important, must-dos. You have enough time to do them. But you don't have all the time to do everything you want to do, that's for sure. But you can classify and juggle priority by tagging urgent and important things first, and you have enough time to do them. And make a list and start scratching them as you do them, as you finish them, and you would see that you are able to do things sequentially and in parallel or in synchronicity. One thing that before I forget to say, that synchronized time management can solve that. How do you do that? List things that you do every week, and there's 3 categories. Your main task, that is the platform of what you're doing, and there's a foreground task that you can add onto the background, and there's a background task. For example, women are good at this. You can be cooking and babysitting simultaneously, and you can be calling your dental appointment, and you can be shouting at your dog to get out, and you can be closing you're close with your buds, and you can be looking at the television at the same time, like 5 things. Men, I think they can focus on the baseball and coffee and 1 beer and 1 remote control. Anyway, so you can juggle priority by synchronized time management. Just identify your major task and what can you do while doing something, with a foreground task and a background task. 3 things or 4 things simultaneously, so you achieve more things in the same time frame without dispersal. I don't mean you to get dispersed. Dispersal is not synchronized time management. When you do so many things without focus, you will have incomplete or a lot of things unfinished. That is bad. So you have to list. If you list down things, classify what are urgent and important things first amongst your list of wanna-dos. Then you can start to classify what can you combine, so that you can be printing your email, calling your dental appointment while babysitting, while doing the laundry. Dryer does not need your attention. And so you can combine and marry technology with strategy. You learn some softwares and applications that can make you, give you alarm on different things. If you're forgetful, because you have so much in your mind, you can use your cell phone to give alarms on specific, very important things that you cannot miss. So you can use technology with strategy. All right, what are your other concerns? Zen?
What children are eating.
Oh, the food and health management for kids. I think there's one thing you can do is to either consult a good dietitian or nutritionist that is along your principle. If you're a vegetarian, then you have to consult a vegetarian nutritionist. If you're not, then consult a traditional one. But make sure you follow a path. Do not mix too many things, otherwise you will be confused. And only buy things that you will have to eat because they're healthy. If you buy things that, oh, this is not healthy, but I'll buy it anyway, then you end up eating at the end, or somebody will eat it at the end of the week. So do not buy things that you should not be eating, so that you will not have a choice to eat them. Whatever you put in the refrigerator are the things that should be eaten, called healthy foods and nutritious food. Then you can have a discipline. You put a boundary of what you should do by containing it first. Of the don'ts, do not put it at all in your refrigerator or in your house or your pantry. So there are don'ts that you should not be buying because they are not nutritious, neither supportive of your health. So you need to follow a disciplined regimen wherein you have to follow it with containment, or sandbag this food and do not bring anything that is not healthy. Secondly is there are many small rules with respect to food, which I will just touch. I think a complete diet would be not just a high nutrition, but a lower calorie with high nutrition value. Sometimes they call it cron diet. Calorie reduction, but nutrition optimization. Not too much of one thing and then too much carbohydrates and not much protein, or not too much protein and not much of. So just spread the nutrition you want in small pockets so you can eat the volume you want. At the same time, there's high nutrition with low calorie. But if you have only two kinds of food, one that is 80% carbohydrates and 10% protein, and there's no other vitamins along, then you have only two kinds of variety. So if you see the longest living human beings today are the Okinawans. See, I'm writing a book called The Higher Science on Longevity, and I visited places that have super centenarians, meaning 110-year-olds and above are still functional, walking in the street with no cane and still gardening and selling their fruits. I went to Vilcabamba, Ecuador, and they have super centenarians who are still functional. Very lucid, very funny, and still walking in the mountain, gardening, and going to church on Sundays. Okinawa is the same. So, and another one is Hunza Valley in Pakistan, and Caucasus Mountain in Russia. These are the 4 areas on Earth that have super centenarians, meaning to say they are functional 110-year-olds and above, not only bedridden because of oxygen-induced respirators. So one of their diets common to all of them is alkaline water. They still drink water from the minerals from the streams, not mineral bottled water, which is acidic. So alkalinity in water is one. Second, they have small pockets of food, but more nutritious distribution. Not a big thing with only 2 kind of nutrition. Like if you go to Okinawan restaurants, they give you a plate with so many holes, and they put a small piece of this green, so many greens, some pickles, and it's like holes that they put small doses of fruit, but 10 of them, for example. And the variety of their food in a week is almost 100 kinds of food eaten in 1 week. The Americans has a 25 variety, whereas the Europeans have almost like 45 kinds of food a week. The American diet has almost 25 varieties a week only. The Okinawan has 100 varieties per week. So you can just imagine that there's less reduction of calorie, but optimization of nutrition. So that is one rule of thumb. Secondly is you distribute taking more essential oils, fatty acids, and many other lubricants of your system, omegas. And I always advocate the use of probiotics, especially people who have taken a lot of antibiotics. You have damaged the good bacteria in your guts. And in so doing, you have more acidity in your system. So even you eat the right food, it's not absorbed. It's not just the amount of food that you eat, it's the absorption quality that you are more concerned. You can eat the right vitamins but not absorb, it's almost useless. So having probiotics, even for children today, instead of giving them antibiotics, give them probiotics. I usually take 2 kinds. The 50 billion and 10 strains of probiotics that is called the Ultimate Flora. I order from the website. They have 10 strains of bacteria that is needed inside your guts, and 50 billion of them a day to replenish things that you have already damaged. Another one is Dr. Ohiro. It's one of the best. It's 12 strains of bacteria, and a little less, but it is one of the most effective that I've taken, and I recommend to a lot of our clients.
How do you spell Dr.
Ohiro. O-H-I-R-O. Ohiro.
O-H-I-R-O.
Yeah. Ohiro. But the one that is most popular in the US is the 50 billion Ultimate Flora. There's even vaginal yeast, yeast infection there, because they use it also for women. All right, so I think you should consult whatever diet you want to take you need to consult somebody who is expert on that. But the condition is not only drinking a lot of water, but more alkalinic water. If you don't have alkalinizer, which I use the Athena machine, because it's not just alkalinizer, it's antioxidant water, ionizer, and micro water. It reduces the water's particles into 1/4 the size, so it's absorbed easily by your system. Because your blood is around 90% water. So to purify, you need that micro water to be injected into your system to go inside even the more difficult parts of the body. So water therapy in that aspect is not just drinking a lot of water, but alkaline water. All right. Any other concerns?
Well,
Yes,
what
doctor.
I see is the poor self-esteem, not feeling
Self-esteem.
emotionally.
Okay. Self-esteem and self-confidence and self-worth. There are three aspects. There's a difference between self-esteem and self-worth and self-confidence. Self-confidence is more about what you are, more external. Self-esteem is more internal. And self-worth is your totality. What is your worth as a human being? If you are valuable, if you value time, because time to you is money and your time is valuable, if you rate yourself to be of value of, say, $100 per hour, or the lawyers charge you $300 sometimes per hour, every hour of their time they see lost is $350, you see. But when somebody is worth $10 per hour, they can lose time. 10 hours is $100 only worth. So there are many positioning of that. Self-confidence is when you have a value of yourself externally, like the external aspect of you, what you are. Self-esteem is who you are. And self-value is like your totality. For example, there's a difference between accountability and responsibility. A person who is confident and accountable is more confident than others who are not accountable. But the one who is responsible is higher in self-esteem. Self-esteem has to do with the soft skills, the internal kinds of behavior. Self-confidence is more the external behavior. So people who are richer, who are more educated, who are more in a higher status of the society has more self-confidence. When they talk, they are more authoritarian. When they express themselves, they are more extrovert in saying things. The one who did not succeed totally externally yet, their confidence probably is lower because they know for sure that they are not as powerful as the other person beside them. Now, self-esteem does not have to do with money. Like Mother Teresa might not have all the money in the world and not have a PhD, but self-esteem because she knows that she is honest, she has a lot of values, she has spiritual internal power, and so she feels that she's confident internally, which is called the self-esteem. It's more of your internal confidence. Self-value is how you contribute your talents in life because you're maximizing your potential. So anybody who respects time, because they associate time as productivity, like the Swiss, the Germans, the Singaporeans, would not like to be late in a meeting because they know that if they're late, other people are waiting for them, and it is time as value. So to them, with higher self-value, they would like to project that as, hey, don't be late because I came earlier and I need to do this afterward. So children today has to be accountable in terms of the use of time, talent, resources. So they need to be taught how to budget, not only money. That's why in our training in STEM, that is one of the training. The STEM program is not only the science and art of budgeting. What can you budget? Like if this is taught in school or in parenting, and they can pass it on the skills to children. Budgeting of time, instead of just time management. Time, yeah. This one is our STEM program, which we teach children not only leadership but life skills to educate the human being in a child to become more enlightened global citizens. Meaning to say we need to empower them and equip them with tools that is not just words but training to immerse them in a program that they will become habitual in budgeting time, their use of talent and resources, and also financial resources. See, if this is taught in school, no children should be throwing half of the bottle of water. See, if you buy that water for 75 cents, throw one half of that after drinking half is 35 cents. So I educated one of my daughter used to do that because she sees other kids doing that. And I said, my dear, why are you throwing that water? It's just half. You have to drink or bring it home. I don't need it anymore. I said, okay. And the next time she bought a $1 ice cold water and drunk half of it again. So I said, can you give me $1 from your savings? And I tore the dollar into two. And I threw one half and give it back one half of the dollar. I said, Daddy, are you crazy? Why did you tear my dollar and throw one half of it? That's what you did with the water. No, it's just water. No, it's the same. How much did we buy that water? It's $1. Why did you throw one half of it? Well, it's because I don't need it. Same. You throw one half of the dollar, and this is 50 cents. From there on, she never throw food. I said, okay, you only order what you can eat. If it's a big portion, don't order that, even though you like that food. Just make sure you economize. Because I said the principle that what you lavishly consume now and lose and waste, you will have lack of in the future by law of cause and effect. And many religions like Taoism, Buddhism, and some Chinese are very frugal in the sense that they teach that if whatever you waste now, that you will have lack of in the future by law of karma, by law of cause and effect. Whatever you set in motion here, you will have what comes around will, come back, boomerang effects. So we need to use certain things like budgeting is not bad. We think that, oh, I don't want to budget. Now, a lot of the rich people today are masters of budgeting. They budget their time to accomplish things that they want to do the whole day. Their 8 hours are 8 hours worth of productivity. It's not 8 hours of just work, productivity. Second, they budget resources so they can save and invest their money. Most people who get rich are saving and investing, saving and investing. Those who don't save and invest will not have a roll out of their ROI or their gain. Budget of talent. Where do you budget your talent? It's not only for the family, it's not just for work. Maybe for community service, for social responsibility. And so most people can budget for families and career, but not for social accountabilities and social well-being. So they're just, two parts of the game. So budgeting is a science and an art. If this were taught to parents and they can pass it on to children, they will automatically master the maximum use of resources, time, talent, and money. Performance comes from that. What, as they all say, what you can measure in many things, you can manage, right? So if you don't have a measurement tool called the budget of time, budget of money, budget of talent, budget of resources, you cannot measure what are you wasting and what you're saving. So we teach children how to put borders. Now budgeting is our borderline measurement tool where you can measure what did you overdo and overspend if you had a border. Most people today do not know how to put borders in what is excess and what is not excess. And that is true in parents and so with children. See, if you say you're wrong to a child, then the child said, why? Because you did this. What is the boundary of right and wrong? If there's no rule of engagement, if there's no boundaries where outside this line is wrong, inside this line is a little bit wrong but it's acceptable, but inside it is the truth. The degrees of truth, the degrees of light has to be measured from 0 to 10, for example. They say that good is the enemy of excellent, right? If you say good enough all the time, you will never become excellent because you will accept good enough instead of very good or excellent or superb. So children do not know what is the difference between excellent and superb and very good and just good enough. See, if they hear the parents always say good enough, that's good enough, then they will never shoot for excellence because they are using the benchmark of parents as good enough is acceptable. And they copy education of their children with their parents. So that is like a conditioning which we want to break. How do we learn to use the maximum or minimum time for maximum productivity with minimum resources, which is called the maximum performance? So budgeting is a science and an art, so that has to be taught in school or in a training program or after school program. If you send your children to us, we will teach them on those aspects as well, and how to put criteria. How to establish criterion of what is right and wrong has to be developed without putting a platform, what is right and wrong platform. The child has to be supervised in every way by the parent, by any day, because there's no self-initiative of what is the boundary where they operate without being wrong or right, or being right but not wrong. So one of the missing links in parenting's performance is they have to supervise each and every day because they never trained him to put boundaries. Like what is late and too late for a teenager to go home during a weekend versus a weekday. Now the problem is they have schizophrenic rules in the house. The husband who is a strict ex-military would say, you have to come 10 p.m. otherwise this, somebody get hurt. And the mother being a Mother Teresa type, a very mystical, loving mother. If your father is here, you have to go home at 9. If father is not here, you can go home at 11. As long as don't disturb us when we're sleeping. Just be quiet. Yeah? Now, I used to live with my grandmother, which is a super Mother Teresa, and she said, you can come home anytime as long as you open the window and just climb there and do not disturb us sleeping so that your father will not notice you're coming in. And there was the whip. See, I was born with a Chinese lineage, just all kinds of whips. So now the child will start to know how to manipulate when the father's there. When the mother's there, they're noisy, and the grandmother, they're super noisy. Depending on who's there in the house. So when they start to do that, they become schizophrenic in values. So there should be coherent sets of values, and there should be an agreement between parents saying this is the pre-agreed value system and criterion where the rules are to be engaged. So that ground rules and rules of engagement should be predefined. As they grow, you expand that. Because you need them to not be in the same sandbag and a foxhole fighting the parents. You need to expand their criteria as they grow. When they're teenagers, you give them a leeway in such a way that they start to co-create the rules with you when they're starting to think. Otherwise, they said that you're controlling them at the end. When they're 20-year-old, they're still being controlled by the same rules when they're 6-year-old. Because as parents, you have to expand your role as your children grow. When they're 6-year-old, it is you are the leader and the parent for sure. When they become a teenager, you are a parent coach. You, instead of just putting the rules, you have to co-agree and co-create the rules so that they see you as not only a parent ruler, but a co-creator, a coach, and a parent at the same, a friend. So at the time they open up, because they know that they are creating the rules with you, so they will have to respect the things they created themselves. If not, they will only respect you because they're afraid. As they become 19, 20, they need to start to have a bigger boundary so that they can play and become prepared for young adulthood. Otherwise, they will always say, Mom, what can I do all the time? Even 35, they're asking Mom what to do. Because they did not have a training of initiative, self-control, I would say, educated rule system. They need to start to put their own rules because who knows, they're 21, they get married. You never know. Somebody get pregnant 21, 22, and then suddenly they are stuck in a family where they don't even know what's time management, what's stress management, and what is budgeting and anything else. So I think one of the things that you can perform well is when you set boundaries, first between you and your husband and wife, and then you involve the other people around you once you must, because if you conflict your rules in front of them, then they will set more confusion, right? So first coherently create and co-create amongst the parents, the rules of engagement, the ground rules, and the boundaries wherein your rules will be set. And then adjust it by age, and then you see now the rules have a boundary and expand it. So budgeting, boundary management, and establishing boundaries and co-creative aspect to it. Third is the source of value system. the values of parents come from different parents, yeah? This is my dilemma when I was coaching a New York client of mine. The lady is an Irish nurse, very Catholic, raised with a very strict father. And the husband is a Muslim from Dubai. 5 times a day praying, very strict. And now they have 1 son, 1 daughter. And then the problem is, where would these children go? Would they go to the church or would they go to the mosque? No, the war now starts at who will go to where. And how do they pray every day in front of the food? Now that's a very difficult situation where I was coaching them how to organize first their ground rules before they dispute in front of children. Because if they argue about religion in front of children, the children will start to hate religion. They don't want to do anything, so they will create their own religion, peer values system. Whatever they want to do outside the parents. Instead they be rebellious against parents' values. Any concern from your side about our topic today? See, I'm making it light and more practical so that I don't want to talk to you what I prepared. I want to talk to you what you really need rather than what I think you need. So I'm trying to pick your needs from your side, so I'll discuss it as we go on. Yes, Matthew.
I have noticed that a huge barrier to success is children have become largely sedentary. Their lack of exercise goes along with your time budgeting and diet as well, and working that in. They don't get enough exercise.
Correct. That is one of the most probably important things that we need to educate children, is that vitality management. See, if you don't have vitality, even what age you are, you would be less productive, you will less focus, and you will have less discipline. Why is it so? Because the degree of will and vitality determines the speed of accomplishing your task, the degree of productivity, and also your sustainability of production. So when I'm tired and sedentary, I will get the habit, my body, even my muscles memory, will be in that sedentary mode. And so at the end of the day, I will be calibrating my production based on what I feel about what I want to do, which is called laziness. So laziness is an epidemic. And this is one of our mission in our nonprofit work, to fight laziness. It's called a Good Life Project, because I've seen in India, as people get richer, they're lazier than before. Secondly, as we have more technology in our house, the more we have 3 remote control with so many wires and you don't even know what to touch. and so we have so many distractions right now that we forget that vitality is so essential in our life purpose. So one of the first job of education should be vitality education. How to maintain vitality so that people can focus to study, to do their homework, to go home with still, not in terms of aggressive delivery of their vitality, but to manage the vitality. Parenting, without vitality, you will be lazy even to talk to your children after 6 p.m. after work. Or even you have vitality as if it's not moving, because as Matthew said, sedentary, it's like sitting down all the time until your body gets used to it. And then it's become a day-to-day affair. So one of the things we need to establish is how to budget your time, even 5 minutes a day, to just circulate energy and make sure that you have enough will to be above the requirement of the day. It's like this. Your willpower is like the 4-wheel drive if you were a car. Less than the traction needed, you can move with a normal car. But if your day is complex, overwhelmed, you have so much things to do that you cannot finish, and you are tired from work and you go home and you have 2 super active children that needs attention, and then a husband that needs food, expecting that you need to cook for them, and then you still have a grandmother who is sick that you're tending, or your mother is sick, and so your mind is in 5 different directions, so you don't know where to start. You get paralyzed and so overwhelmed. So I would really recommend a regimen that is only 5 to 10 minutes of exercise, without having a special mat of doing yoga, or not going to the Gold Gym, or not going to other gyms. To do just simple exercise that release your stress, your fatigue, that increase your oxygen saturation in your blood, circulate energy in your brain to make your mind perk, because at the end of the day, it's like you discharge your batteries, so that you still have the zest to communicate with your children and other people around your house. When you're tired, you don't want to communicate with anybody. You're just like, how's your day? Fine. One sentence, one question, that's it. Are you okay? Yes, that's okay. Don't ask. So again, the relation becomes acidic when people are tired. When people have high stress, the communication, the conversation starting to become acidic, and it's starting to be a cleavage of relationships. So I agree with Matthew. He is a ranger, ex-ranger. He trains a lot of kids with activity. So I believe, also as a martial arts master, I always specialize in exercise that are not too long, but increase your oxygen, the vitality, releasing your stress and fatigue. Would you want to learn a few techniques?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to teach you a few of them that can be done when you're very tense, very stressed, and you are blocked, stuck, feeling, and you are so congested that you want to just to shout. This, you do it in 5 minutes and you're done. You don't have to do a lot of things. Can you please stand? Let's do it. Okay, one of the easiest way is to use biomechanical movement with breath. See, if you are full of agitation, frustrations, stress, or any anxiety, all you have to do is inhale and flush it out like this. And it's like throwing it out. Inhale. Fill up your lungs. One more. Now, in just 5 of the sequence, when you're starting to get stuck and your breathing starting to have agitation, like erratic breathing, shallow breathing, your anxiety goes up and you're starting to get either stuck or angry, you just, it's like they use the blowing of the, because you want to push the diaphragm to inhale, exhale, right? But when you do this with the body memory, as you've done today, you just have to raise it out and instead of shouting at somebody, or if you cannot express yourself, you can breathe it out rather than shouting at somebody else, which is another week of trouble. Yeah. All right, let's do it again. Inhale. One more. You know why people are stressed? They tend to have toxicomania or smoke more. Because when you smoke, you tend to inhale. And you expand the diaphragm. So if you have anxiety, you smoke, because in anxiety they do not breathe, they get locked here. And so when you smoke, you tend to have and induce inhalation to open up the diaphragm, and so they feel like better because it is more oxygen and diaphragmatic movement. So if you don't have a cigarette or you don't have to smoke, you don't, and you started to loosen up. That alone, when you're at the onset of being on fire with anger or onset of fear or anxiety, all you have to do is remember 5 sets or 10 sets of diaphragmatic, expand or expel a lot of stress here. Now, how does this work? I'll just demonstrate to you. Feel your left and right leg. I want to demonstrate to you that in 30 seconds of movement, you will make one of your legs younger than the other one. Okay? Feel your left and right leg. Are they almost the same or even feelings? Good. I want you to exercise only one leg with flushing technique or breathing and kicking out. Ready? Left leg. Inhale. Inhale. One more. Around 30 seconds. Walk. Compare your left and right leg. Which feels older and which feels younger. In just 30 seconds of manipulation through biomechanical and synchronized breath. Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Don't you feel that your right leg is like older than the left?
Yes.
In 30 seconds of movement. That shows to me that in 30 seconds of movement with breath, you are flushing energy and oxygenating, thus making your energy circulate with higher oxygen saturation. And especially if you have problem with your kidneys, your back pain, if you have prostate problem or myoma or fibroids, you flush a lot your legs so that a lot of things will flow out, especially if you are perimenopausal with hot flushes. You kick every day and flush out the excess heat. Let's do it to the right leg. Inhale. Try to walk now. Feel. Now, feel the effects on your arms and legs compared to your trunk and your spine and shoulders, which feels like really light and flowing. Is there a difference? Now, these areas where you exercise are now younger feeling. As they said, you are as young as the oldest part of the body. So your feeling and the oldest part are your trunk and your spine, right? Okay, let's release the spine. How do you release your stress and the shoulder, and where do you feel more stress in your body? Where do you accumulate? Here, shoulders, sometimes here, acidity, pain, and a lot of time in the wallet, right? Okay, so I want you to put your hands in front. I want you to learn a martial arts technique I developed to release stress very quickly in just 10 seconds. From here, okay, feel first your shoulder. You sit tight. Sometimes you people do it like this. When you wake up in the morning, instead of being relaxed, you're tight. Because a lot of stress accumulates here, here, shoulder, and the harder your shoulder, the more stress. So how do you release it? It's like this. Put your hands in front. Inhale and look at the ceiling. Inhale as deep as you can. And exhale stress. Inhale up, chin in. Stretch. Look at the ceiling. One more. How do you feel? More oxygen, more circulation, and lower blood pressure. You see, you don't need complicated techniques. The thing is, if you are stuck and so stressed and you do a lot of weightlifting, the more you inject the stress inside the muscle memory, because you do not release it, it gets like a stone feeling. So before you go to rigorous exercise, even jogging or walking, you release first the blockages. There is so-called an energy aura, which called the acupuncturists the meridian systems, the acupuncture points. These acupuncture points emanate energy, which creates your auric field. Like you see, the saints, they have halos, angels have halos and light. You have that in you, and if you're very tired, it feels congested and heavy. That's why you feel tired. You feel like you have heavy feelings here. When you are happy, you feel light. So that is the energetic field. So when you do the breathing techniques, you ionize your energy field. This invisible light that you get from the air is not just oxygen. If you sneeze, you see these particles of light, right? Have you seen these lights when you sneeze? And you look at this clear sky, there's lights that are points of light moving randomly. Those are air globules that are not oxygen. It is the vitality from the air that when you inhale oxygen, around 4% stays in your blood, 16% goes out. But these air points of light will stay in your blood, which energizes your auric field. It's like ions. So when you inject oxygen and release toxins, you are not just injecting oxygen, but you're injecting this light. Okay? Let's do it again. Look at the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, stress. Stretch back. Good. How do you feel? Especially if you start to get tight here, you starting to like this. It does not go away by just massaging. You feel good after massage, the next day you still have the tension. So that is the easiest way to flush. Also for women, it flushes your lymphatic system that accumulates toxins that may create cysts and tumors here and there. So when you flush, the lymphatic system gets drained. It's like a lymphatic massage by using energy. Also, a lot of blockage in the spine gets released. It's like a bamboo effect. Next, how do you increase further your oxygen levels? It's like this. Put your hands in front. Inhale as deep as you can. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Deep. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And now, for people who have memory lapse, even your children who have memory problems or learning problems, you let them inhale as deep as they can this way, and let them circulate the oxygenated blood in their brain by stooping down like this, so that the irrigation comes to the head directly without problem. Because oxygen in the blood, higher saturation, if you circulate to the brain by gravity, there's more perking out of the brain cells and the neurons. And then you stretch and now, if your children are having problems in school, they're not always because they're not intelligent. In the morning, there are children who are still asleep. Night owls, they tend to sleep late and they don't want to wake up in the morning. So they go to school as if they are still half awake and half asleep. So taking an exams when you're half awake, like you're out of body, you're not focused. You know, sometimes when you sleep out in the afternoon and they wake up fast, quickly, and then you come out and as if you're not inside. Now, some children are like half awake during morning times, and they do not do good in exams in the morning. But in the afternoon, they do better. So a lot of learning disorders that I have been healing are children who are like space cadets, who are half awake in the morning, and they're not concentrating because they're not listening. See, your brain hears through your ears the signal. It is your mind that listens. So the hearing is not just in front listening. You listen using your mind. You hear using your brain. You can see me through your eyes, but it is your mind that looks to me. Like when a ranger or a forester goes to the forest, their mind is trying to see what is behind the forest or inside. A normal person will see the forest as trees. A forester or ranger will see that there's a danger inside the forest because they imagine other things using the mind. So the mind is the one that used to create, imagine, visualize. It's your eyes that sees like the camera. So people who are not doing good sometimes in school are people who are not latched to their brain because they're half asleep. They don't know that. They cannot explain to you because you say, oh, you're just lazy. Yeah, I'm still lazy because I'm not awake. But some people do not understand that there are people that are more awake in the afternoon than in the morning. And some people can be awake until 10 p.m. and they're functional. Some, they cannot function at 10 p.m. So there's also like an opposite rhythm. I'm sure a lot of children who are given exams in the afternoon, who are night owls, perform better in the afternoon than in the morning. And sometimes the tests are in the morning. Right? Okay. Now, how do you wake them up? This is a technique. Or how do you increase the willpower and focus? This is a technique for ADDs and learning disorders. In military and martial arts as well, we do a lot of squats. We do that. We do that as like a regimen to increase your will and focus. Now, if your child is a space cadet, who are not grounded, clumsy, always, not focused, and dispersed, you tell them to squat every day, 25 times or more, morning and afternoon. It will start to ground. Your feet has a ground to the earth. And people who are spacey are not grounded people, and they are clumsy. They are not aware of the space. It's like they're living from here up. They do not know the space here. So let them do the squats, especially learning disorders, people who cannot focus, even adults. Let's do it. From here, it's called the expanding squats technique. Inhale, exhale down. Now, circulate oxygen and blood to the head. Heel down, droop. And then put your hands in the fan. And stretch back. Open up your brain. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more. Good. Now that will bring more oxygenated blood to the brain cells. Even memory loss or brain fog in perimenopausal women. Do these squats techniques 10 to 15 times and then circulate oxygen to the blood. It also improves fighting wrinkles. Because there's oxygen and blood to the face, nutrition goes to the face. Wrinkles happen when there's less oxygen circulation in those areas. Okay. So for brain problems, memory issues, let them circulate oxygen and blood to the brain before they go to school, before they go to homework. Because you see, you tell them to do the homework and their mind is not there. It's called presenteeism. They are present but not there. It's different from absenteeism, which is like they are physically absent. Some people are present but not present. Even at work, it's called presenteeism. They go to work but their mind is not there. So half of the time they are not working, even they are inside workplace. Same with children. Their mind is daydreaming and thinking of something else and they're not listening. So they might be hearing the teacher's voice, but they're not listening mentally. So learning disorders is not just about brain activity, it's the mind activity, which is different from the mind. The brain is the hardware, the mind is the software. The brain is the one that hears and sees. The mind is the one that looks and listens. They need to be retrained to connect. All right, and this squats is one of these. Now, if you do the squats without the breathing, it's not going to work the same way. Let's experiment. Do it without the breath. This is what they do in the gym sometimes. Hundreds of them. There's no energy. In fact, you will have cramps because you have metabolism and oxygenation. You will have a buildup of lactic acid and muscle pain. Let's do it the right way. Inhale. Exhale. And then bring the oxygen to the brain and your face. You will save a lot of cosmetics. And up, inhale. Stretch, enjoy life. Open up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Except if you have severe back pain. Please don't do that. Now, people who want to lose weight, one of your problems is your thyroid gland. If your thyroid is low, it's called hypothyroidism. Even you eat less, you gain weight. You need to unblock your throat through speaking out your emotions. Do not bottle your emotions. Or open up by using this biomechanical manipulation to breath. It will stimulate the thyroid to open up so that you will have a higher metabolism. So if you tend to gain weight even with little food, you do this exercise and higher oxygenation before you eat. So your metabolism will increase before you consume calories. Especially if you eat 7 p.m. and at night, where your metabolism goes down at night. So you're eating the same food, but your metabolism has lowered, so your consumption of calorie is not much. And that is where weight gain happens when you eat at nighttime. Your energy is starting to slow down and you are increasing your food intake. So the food you take in the morning, you can digest it faster and convert into energy. At night is less conversion. Therefore, if you tend to gain weight, do not eat past 6 p.m. where you're starting to slow down and you're not consuming energy anymore. So by doing this, you're opening your thyroid to work. This is like engine of metabolism. And then increase your oxygen. And then when you eat, there's a higher burning rate. Then you can maintain your food and not feel guilty about eating more. Okay. All right. Last, how do you release your neck? Sometimes your problem is your spine is blocked. If you don't have a time to go to chiropractors or a budget to go every week, this is how you do it. Cross, like this. Inhale. Hold your breath. Tilt to the right. Left. Center. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Hold. One more. Good. How do you feel? Do you remember all the sequence? Don't worry. If you have this is a 15-minute workout that has 4 techniques. 8 steps exercise we did, plus 3 more breathing techniques, which I will demonstrate to you to sleep well. Please sit down. How do you sleep deep so you improve your performance? See, as Matthew said, vitality through more activity, not just sedentary life, is a must-have to be able to function at any level that we want in any role. Without energy, it's hard to perform in any way, either at work time or in relationships. When your energy is low, relationship is difficult to manage because if you're tired, you don't have that emotional enthusiasm and gusto to relate. Your words will be less and less, and then your gap is more and more. When you are tired, fatigue and exhaustion and burnout, one of the results is problems with relationships. Performance, productivity goes down south. Absenteeism in many ways, being presenteeism, you're not focused. And you're starting to not love yourself. As you said, your self-confidence and self-esteem goes down when you don't have a good feeling about yourself. You start not to feel good about yourself when you're tired. When you're burnt out, when you're stressed, you're starting to hate your life. And when you hate your life, you hate life as a whole, and you affect everything. Including your roles as parents will be affected, because if you don't like yourself, because of that feeling that you're tired and you're burnt out, any role does not get expanded. You will not like other roles in your life. All right. One thing that I want to leave behind today to take home as a tool is how do you sleep very deep so that your mind is refreshed in the morning, your hormones are balanced, your heart, your mind, and your soul is awake at the same time, calm. There's a difference between calm and relax. When you're driving, do not relax, because when you relax, you're not as sharp. A lot of accidents happen 40 miles and below. It's not a high speed all the time. When you are relaxed, especially in the traffic, and you don't mind your side, your rear mirror, you just swear accident happened, especially if you're texting and you do not. All right? So do not relax if you are supposed to be alert, but calm down. There's a difference between aligned calmness, internal tranquility, and that aspect of relaxation. I'm not always relaxed, but I'm very calm inside. Being alert means to say you can pay attention to a whole 360 degrees. At the same time, you are not expending a high RPM thinking where you are draining gas while you're in red light, and red light. Some people do not know how to park their minds. Positive thinking is not always good when you're supposed to be in park position. There's a time that you need to park your mind and your emotions when you are resting. Some people cannot park their mind even they're supposed to relax. They're still thinking and thinking, and you're using energy, especially if you're worrying and thinking. And people think and worry, it's even worse, because when you worry and you think, you are programming the negative end game. That's why you're worried. You're thinking of the negative results that will happen, and that is a programming technique of disasters. The more you are scared that your child will have accident, the more you are programmed to have accidents. Why? Because that's what you're thinking. Warriors and people who are always fearful are people who are good in meditation, except they're meditating and contemplating on the end game that is not positive. That's why they are worried, because they are thinking of the negative result. So you have to divert your mind into either productive results or things you want to achieve rather than things you cannot achieve. Most of the performance issues of parents and people is that they are paralyzed by the things they cannot do, instead of focusing on things they can do. I repeat, focus on things you can do instead of focusing on things you cannot do. You will get paralyzed if you focus on things you cannot do, because you're already blocked. So how do you get out from that rhythm? You focus on things you can do first. And as you go into an impetus of momentum, then you can get accelerated to do things. Most people are paralyzed because they focus on things they cannot do, or the impossible things. So they say, oh, I cannot do anyway. But you have other things to do. Okay? So time management is not the solution all the time. It is about focusing with discipline constantly on what you want to achieve, and accompanied with effort. Self-discipline is like that. Discipline is one of the missing pieces in most parents and many people, executives as well, and children. Children today, they don't have a constant focus and effort. Now, what is discipline? Discipline is not just the military discipline of a soldier. A saint has also discipline, but they focus constantly on whatever divinity they want to achieve, and accompanied by the action. Same with the soldier. They focus on what they want to achieve as a mission, and they keep on doing it. So discipline is constancy of aim accompanied by constancy of effort. If you can instill that as part of education today, many children will not have problems. But discipline is being phased out in many kids today and youth because, as Manchester said, sedentary life is a sign that the civilization is getting lazier and lazier. And of course, health will be compromised, productivity and purpose will be compromised, meaningfulness in day-to-day affairs will be compromised. So if we put vitality management as the first educational rung to manage the energy of people. Second, to learn the virtue of discipline and self-initiative, diligence, industriousness as a virtue, instead of just the virtue of love. The virtue of discipline is also love in action. And also the virtue of creativity and other things. So for parents, if you rectify things in you and you become the good example, leadership example of your children, they can copy through energy, osmosis. Whatever you're not doing now that you want to teach them, do it yourself and they will emulate it as a copy education. That's one. Second, when you rectify your energy to be more aligned internally, you will evolve the environmental things to support you. Whatever is inside you is what when you exude out, and that the result comes back to you like that. So once you align yourself in a higher level of alignment, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, the environment will go with your alignment because you are the leader of the house or the leader of the environment. So you lead in life first, not just lead other people. Lead in life and life will lead with you, internally and externally. So how do you align yourself every day so that you can sleep well, you can focus your mind without being too emotional, you can use your heart at the same way with the mind. It's not just the mind and the heart, but you can focus your consciousness. I have developed a technique that is evolved from advanced meditation techniques in martial arts and also in yoga. I will teach you things that I have evolved in many years of my research. One thing that you can do is to put your system into a high ionic energy field. Remember the ions of the air? And secondly, you put yourself into alignment emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. When you can do that, you are aligned yourself, and then the environment aligns with you. Okay, let's do that. Now, there is a technique in ninjutsu, in ninja, we use a lot of, when we fight, we use a lot of magical tools. A lot of yogis, they use this, they use that. So there are powers that are stimulated into your fingertips. In reflexology, it is like a holographic connection to your organs. In acupuncture, there's a meridians that goes to your brain and other flowing into your system. Now, when you connect your fingers, there's a switch. Like this one is high power energy. This one is high spiritual energy. This one is high money. So if you combine all of them, it's a short circuit. So, like in martial arts, we can attack with hands open, with energy. When you do like that, it's not just the palm. You can push energy of the people, and it goes through the person. So you can use physical brute force, or you can use energy. Like in charismatic healers, they pray over the head of people. Like healers, they can position the hands. Many methods, right? You can deliver energy to the hands. That's why most saints of all religion, they use their hands to bless. You see, Christianity, Jesus did like this. Buddha like that. Blessed Virgin Mary in Christianity, Catholicism. The Egyptians, they use this. Most saints will always bless. In martial arts, as you become a master of the higher level, your graduation is not to fight anymore, but to mend broken bones. It's easy to break a bone by a 1 second chop on the chin using a snappy technique, but to mend the bones after fracture would require 3 months. So it's easier to break bones than to mend them. So as you graduate into martial arts, you need to master healing, because that is like the spiritual wisdom aspect of power. Most saints do tend to bless and become empowering agents through their hands, right? So you can use a lot of techniques to empower yourself by using more advanced method. One technique you can use is the Trinity method. Power, the heart, and the mind method. Use this one. And you need to do the breathing, inducing oxygen, like this. Inhale to the nose, exhale to the mouth. One more. Now with high oxygen and high ions, you concentrate on 3 glands. Pineal gland is what makes you sleep. Your melatonin, your serotonin, your oxytocins inside your head stimulated by the pineal gland inside. Pituitary gland is here. And the thymus gland for the immune system, your fighter cells are here. So if you concentrate on the 3 hormones points, you will align your emotional, your mental, and spiritual energy. So let's do that. Close your eyes. Just experiment. You don't have to believe me. Just focus on the center of your chest with your mind and between the eyebrows and the top of the head simultaneously. Do your best to concentrate. And just breathe slowly and relax. If your mind goes out, go back to those 3 points and discipline your mind to focus. This is a training of concentration. Okay, open your eyes. That is only 1 minute. Now in 1 minute, this is to measure the efficacy of any technique. In 1 minute, what happened to your mind and your emotions? Are they disturbed or calm? Calm. Now, in 1 minute, you can calm down your pulse. If you have hypertension, anxiety, a panic attack, you just 10 sets of that and focus here. The glands and hormones align. Your emotional peace, your peace of mind, and your tranquility comes in. This is anti-depression, anti-anxiety, anti-panic attack. Your blood pressure stabilizes, and also your center. If you do these 5 sets before you sleep like a baby, like a log. You go to 4 states of sleep in slumber, that even 2 hours of sleep is more than 10 hours of normal sleep with people. I have been sleeping less for many years before, with 2 to 3 hours average of sleep every day, because I was busy writing books and traveling 100 flights a year. I can control my jet lag, my flight fatigue by using this technique. You can sleep anytime you want when you are calm. But when you're mentally disturbed, when you're emotionally disturbed, when your energy is chaotic, it's hard to even go to bed, even you're tired. Have you experienced when you're so tired you cannot sleep? How come you're so drained and you cannot sleep? Because you don't have much energy, you cannot control your mind, your emotions are chaotic. So this is one of the antidote to depression, anxiety, burnout, and sleep. Just this technique alone. I have developed this and solved many conditions. So let's do it again and enjoy it, okay? Peace of mind daily is this. Ready? Okay, head straight. You concentrate again your mind on the 3 spots. Chest, mid-brow, and top of the head. And just be calm. Breathe slowly and relax. Open your eyes. That's another minute. What happens in the second round? Do you go deeper? Yes, imagine doing it 5 times before you sleep. You will be so aligned that you become very restful and robust when you wake up, fresh. Because even you sleep for 10 hours, sometimes if you are low in sleep stage, you wake up very tired. And that's even worse because you wasted 10 hours and you wake up so tired. Have you experienced that? And you said, what's happening? And you're grouchy and irritated. 3 or 4 hours of deep sleep is more than 10 hours of normal sleep. And you can be productive in many ways by doing other things. So if you do these 4 sets before you rest today, I guarantee you will go in a deeper sleep than before in previous years. So that is a technique for insomnia or sleep-wake insomnia or restlessness in sleep. Now, it is also a solution for depression, anxiety, burnout, and other things. So we have a program called DABSIM, Depression, Anxiety, Burnout, and Sleep Energy Management Strategies. This we use a lot for a lot of people, including people with menopausal problems, children with learning problems. They started to calm down but focus aware. See, there's a situation where you are focused and not aware of the environment. Some people can focus but they do not know what's going on around them. Or some people are very aware of the environment, feeling everybody's pain but they're not focused also. This technique is used a high level of mastery because you can be focused and aware at everything, 360 degrees. See, in higher training in martial arts, we have to focus on here, but we need to be aware there as if you have an eye on the side. This is called that total awareness, because you sense everything and focus at the same time. In today's world, like a parent, you need to have multiple facets. You need to be focused as a mother, and with your career at the same time, and as a wife, and as I have your in-laws, and you have your mother who's sick, and you have your neighbor who is asking you something else. You need to be multidimensionally aware, and at the same time, do not lose focus on your urgent, important goals. Short-term and long-term has to be considered. Looking at the whole city like a pilot, and being on the ground like a taxi driver. If you can do that now, you can perform. You cannot just be in the top of the world and not on the ground, or not on the ground and not seeing the whole scheme. You need to be focused and aware. This is a technique you can achieve through this. All right, so you can do that every day. If you're very stressed, irritated, frustrated, take 5 minutes rest, do this. In fact, leave your stress, do not bring it home. Stressed parents are hazard to kids. If you have an ADD child and you're highly stressed, it will superimpose your energy and becomes exacerbated. In fact, your children are litmus paper for your condition sometimes. When you're calm, sometimes the kids are calmer. When you're chaotic, the kids get exacerbated and they start to jump here and they start to fight. If you fight, they start to fight also. Even you're hiding in your own room, they can sense it everywhere like a GPS. All right, so when you align yourself as parents, you tend to calm down the environment. If you're the leader, if you're calm and aligned, the entire office will start to calm down. If you're chaotic, everything is chaotic. So your internal condition determines your external output. So start from inside. Your self-esteem comes higher when you're internally restful, calm, and your predisposition is very aligned. This technique aligns your emotional intelligence, your mental, and your spiritual intuitional intelligence. This is a very important tool for decision makers that I teach to executives for decision making. Emotionally intelligent, you have the conscience to sense win-win outcomes. You have the mind to focus on strategies and tacticality. And you have the intuition to see the far-fetched implication of your goals and your decisions. Intuition, that's why you see the halos of saints and the descent of the Holy Spirit in the sense of religion. If downpours here, and there's a light here like the halo. If you focus here, you do not stimulate only the pineal gland. You stimulate your intuition. And if you focus here, you're not only stimulating the pituitary gland, which is the master gland of all the endocrine glands. When you have hormonal imbalances, the pituitary is a problem sometimes. The gland beneath here. This controls your mind's focus. And this one determines your conscience and your emotional intelligence, the ability to use your emotions intelligently, and also to connect to other people. These Centers of light and power are essential not only to decision making but to alignment. All right, with the exercise that we did today, plus you do this as a daily routine, you have more energy with power and calmness. So dynamic calmness. It's not relaxed calmness. Power with sweetness. It's called sweet power. See, a person with sweetness is magnetic, right? People love them, but they are always sometimes become vulnerable to be victims. Because if you don't show power, people manipulate you. If you're always loving and you cannot say no to people, they will victimize you. You need to be powerful at the same time sweet, and it's called sweet power. It's irresistible power. So as parents, you need to have the power to lead in your roles in life, at the same maintain that calmness and sweetness to be magnetic. Okay, so you combine sweetness and power, that's really impeccable, formidable combination. Now, what is left is creativity and intelligence. Now, we are made into the likeness of God, or they call it the macrocosm. God is an omnipotent, almighty, omniscient, all-knowing, and all-loving, all-merciful, right? In most religions, they have this, even in Islam, in Buddhism. So we are made into the intelligence using the mind, power, your vitality, and will, and you have your heart. These are the three aspects that education and efficiency should focus on. We need to develop the heart of students, children, from the start. If you develop the heart of children, they become delinquents, abrasive, they become bullies, they become parts of a mob, or they will start to manipulate other people because they don't feel it. They don't feel the conscience. So the conscience is not the guilt. It's the use of emotions intelligently applying. The use of the heart. It's very important that education should start educating through the heart first. When people are more loving, it's easy to educate them because they are more receptive. When the heart is closed, they will say no to everything, even if it's the right thing to do. So that is one. So in parenting, you need to have a technique and tool to educate the heart of the child by all means. If you're going to do it, hire somebody that is a coach, like Mother Teresa coach, or loving school teacher that will help instill the heart education. Second is educating the mind. Whether you're a parent or school teachers, the test papers will educate them to memorize. Rote education will tell them to memorize the answers. The problem is the schools today are so focused on teaching children how to memorize answers, not teaching them how to solve problems in life. That's the problem. If a school teaches a child to get 100% mark A+ because they memorize an answer, but in situations they cannot solve simple situations, that is a problem in education today. A lot of PhDs can be a PhD but cannot solve simple problems. So we need to train life skills, street smartness in children so that when they confront situations, they should not be a victim of other people who are just bullies but not smart. And very loving people and smart people that are not trained in street smart can be fooled by a taxi driver in New York. A PhD, a master's in business administration, fooled by a normal taxi driver. How can that happen? Because they do not have street smartness. They are book smart, but not street smart. So today's children, they need not only to have book smartness, memorizing the answers, but they have to be trained to make decision making, create options in their lives, put problem solving as priority and life skill development. So that the education is complete, life skills external and life skills internal. And the third aspect is the willpower and vitality energy. Without power, a person with a lot of love and sweetness tends to be victims. So combine the trinity of life, educate the mind, educate the heart, and educate them to use power. That is the complete education. That's the complete human being that we are made of, that macrocosm called God. You have always a curriculum to develop power. So when they fall, do not just always help them. As I always say, success is not just on success. Sometimes 9 falls and 10 rises to success. You fall 9 times, one more time that you rise up, you will still be successful. Children should be taught how to rise, not just how to fall. But without falling, they don't know how to rise. They need to be taught also how to be accountable on their mistakes. So power, science, the art of love, and innovation and creativity has to be taught. If we complete this education and ourselves as parents, we can pass it on to the children. In schools, they need to know the heart has to be educated, because not all children are born like Mother Teresa or Dalai Lama. Some are born like George Bush or Schwarzenegger. Now, and the last is there are 8 types of children, and there are 8 types of parents also. They need to match in alchemy. There are 8 types of children that they need to be profiled, so that we need to know what kind of parenting is suited for the George Bush versus Mother Teresa. For example, the type 1 is like the George Bush, the Alexander the Great, the Napoleon Bonaparte. They are born warriors and rulers. They will fight. They always want to call a mission as their own priority, not the parents, their own mission. When they're children, it's hard to stop them already. When they say no, you're going to change their mind. When they say let's go, they're the first to be in the car waiting for everybody, and they get mad because everybody's slow. Even they're small, they're already quarreling with their older brothers. In the school, they tend to be the hecklers and bullies, and because they're stronger internally. This fearlessness. So that is type 1, warrior types. Type 2 are the lovers, the wise, the Mother Teresas. They're the loving, sweet children. They do not like numbers. They don't want to fight. They are more victims by other children. They tend to be empathic. They feel other people's feelings, and that's why they are aloof, because they don't want to feel other people's sufferings, because they can feel a lot of people. That's a type 2 child. But they don't want to learn mathematics. They don't want to be in cage. They'd rather be in the love mode. But they will be successful as educators, religious people, social workers. That's their craft. The type 1 are warriors. They are more pioneers and rulers, politicians. They're to dominate, dictators. The type 3 are entrepreneurs, like the Donald Trumps, the one who makes money. Their children, they're already selling pencils to make money. Or they will say, Mom, you're so beautiful. And you will say, how much? When you tell them to go to sleep, they said, how much? So they always negotiate because they are centered on focusing on benefits. They're good negotiators. They will make money whether they're educated in business or not. They will be the richer family member. They're the type 3s, entrepreneurial and business executives. From the beginning, they already can make money. They're thinking of money all the time. Type 4 are like the Oprah Winfrey. They are creative, they are singers, musicians, entertainers, but they don't like to go to school sometimes. They just want to paint, they just want to sing, they want to do karaoke. They don't want numbers. But they're good communicators and they're good entertainers. So that's their craft. They become actors or musicians. The type 5 are the Einstein types. The mental type, logical, left brain, scientific, technological. Buy a new BlackBerry, you study the manual, they're already playing without instructions. They're like up to the technology. They can learn fast technology, they learn many things by disassembling the toys. You buy them, they disassemble it, and they assemble it back. They're like kind of that technician type. Now the type 6 are more the devotional kids. The missionary kids who just want to be around you and tailing you around. They don't want to separate from mommy. Hard to remove the breastfeeding. They're like 3 years and they're still breastfeeding. The George Bush 10 months, they don't want to breastfeed. They're independent. The Einsteins, the type 5, they tend to be quiet watching the TV. They do not want to be disturbed. Focus. The type 4, they watch TV and they play and then whatever, they like everywhere. So there are different kinds. Now the type 7 are very organized, very tidy children. Who's neat looking, they are rhythmic, they sleep on the same time, wake up at the same time. So if you look on the type 8, is a combination of the 3 of any kind. The most advanced of them are type 8. It's a combination of at least 3 of them. So if you look at children, they are made of types, profiles, temperaments. So they are born with it. As they said, they're already born with a different baggage from the other kids. Have you noticed that kids are born with their own baggages? They have a behavior since the beginning. They always want crying. The Oprah type are all crying when they were kids. They practice singing. The Einstein tend to be quiet when they're kids. They're focused, they're observing, they're cognitive, already working. The type 1, they're punching other kids and grabbing other food of other children. The warriors, the conquerors. The type 2, they're the victims of other. They're quiet, smiling, beautiful face, chubby kids, and they're for mommy. The type 7, you have to organize everything. If they have dirtiness that they don't want to eat, they will wipe it first before they eat again. So there are 8 types of children, and there are 8 types of parents. The problem is, if you have an Einstein father and a Mother Teresa daughter, and Mother Teresa doesn't want to do homework, Einstein gets mad, right? He wants your mathematics to be done, but Mother Teresa doesn't want. She just wants to play with mom. She doesn't want numbers. So it is a mismatch of parenting and the parents and the child's profile is a problem of conflict. Imagine father is George Bush, daughter is Oprah Winfrey or Madonna. Madonna does not want to sleep early. And George Bush said, hey, you go to bed now. 8 p.m. You finish eating at 7, go at 9. And Madonna wants to sing, wants to dance and chit-chat, you know, Facebook. They are late sleepers, that's why they want to also wake up late. Night owls. So the performance of parenting is not just about how good you are as a parent. Sometimes the Einstein son, when you bring them as teenagers in school, you hug them, and they don't like to be hugged. Mom, don't hug me, you're embarrassing me. The type 5 Einsteins do not want to be hugged in front of friends. They feel like it's a weakness to be so sweet. But the Mother Teresa, if you don't hug them, said, Mom, you're not hugging me anymore. Don't you love me anymore? So what applies to one of them does not apply to the other. So if you are very constant with your method to any type, you will have problem with several of them. To a George Bush, it's normal to have a hyperactive son. They can handle it. They will say, hey, shut up. But if your Mother Teresa, shutting up a hyperactive child is very difficult. Because the power, they think that they have more power than you, so they will take you for granted. So you need a model for them to, like a coach, like take like a ex-Navy SEAL or ex-Ranger or ex-Marine to discipline. They will, because they also recognize power. That's why you tell them, go to sleep. It's normal for them to say, go to sleep. That's not abuse. They said, yes, yes. But do that to Mother Teresa, they think, oh, you're killing me. So you know, if you tap somebody that is powerful, it's to them, it's like, yes. Yes, sir. Do that to Oprah, they will call 911. They will exaggerate the news and make a drama out of it. Some kids make a drama of everything, right? The Oprah types. So if you do not profile your children, you will have a problem of fixing your style to any of them, which does not make sense, because you cannot force the Mother Teresa with the same power as you force, say, if you are George Bush, you can force the Tiger Woods style, because they're tough, and they are used to physical training. But to do it to the more emotionally and soft-skilled children, any small shout to them is overwhelming. So that one, you need a heart or education first before you inject the mind, before the will. But the George Bush children, you need the will to start, and then instill the heart, and then instill the mind. Because if you teach them intelligence without the heart, they will manipulate people with intelligence and power. It's like China has power and intelligence and less love. Right? India, too much heart and too much devotion, but less power. So they will always attack by other countries. So this one has applied also to companies and countries. So as a parent, profile yourself. Are you more the Mother Teresa type or the Oprah type? Are you more the George Bush? Are you Margaret Thatcher mother? The problem is, imagine George Bush as a father and Margaret Thatcher as the mother. And the children are Mother Teresa and Dalai Lama. And can you imagine how strict is that? So if you profile the parents, there should be one that champions the heart, one that champions the mind, and get somebody like uncles or a coach to champion power, for example. You need another leg to get another quality which you cannot give. It's not that all of your qualities should be available. It's not always possible that all the qualities is available. You need to hire somebody that has a symbol of the things that they need, which is not available in your family. A coach or somebody outside your family that will instill that power. For example, Alexander the Great, his father was his model first with power, because King Philip was a conqueror in Macedonia. But it's Socrates, it's Aristotle who was his mentor for wisdom and intellect. combining the power and intellect and the heart of wisdom, he had a very dynamic training. He was, I think, 18 and he was already a conqueror. Of course, he died at 33, but he has achieved all the things that he has achieved in just that much time. So if you don't have it in your own parenting, you have to substitute yourself by another surrogate leader who has that quality. You need power, you need the heart, and you need intellect. This three is needed to balance. Now, what happens if your child has too much power and less heart? Okay, imagine this. What happens if the child has so much power, aggressive, powerful, domineering, but not has conscience and heart? Become a dictator, destroyer. He will destroy. When they grow up, wow, they're dangerous people. How about if the person is so much intellect but not conscience, not heart? Greedy people. They will have all the money and wealth that they want at the expense of other people. They will not share it. You have a greedy person. What if a person is too much heart and no power? A victim. The child becomes a victim in school. Too much sweetness without resistance. They become the victim of the whole gang. So a lot of victims are people with a lot of heart, but they don't have the strength. They don't have the intellect even to outsmart other people, or not the street smart. So the children has to be exposed to the Trinity. As a parent, you need to surrogate something in those Trinity. If you cannot do it yourself, somebody has to do it for you. Either an organization or a substitute coach or a mentor that has that quality, because it's hard for Mother Teresa to assume power. You'd rather give it to somebody who has the power already so that they transfer it by osmosis, by coaching, by mentoring the child for a specific sports or events. It's hard also for George Bush to teach love to a kid. It's not natural for him. He'd rather shout than to say please, because that's his nature. So there are 8 types of profiles. If you're willing, you can always visit our office and we can talk about it, and bring your boys and maybe you can profile yourself. Anyway, in as much as I want to talk more, I think we are ending our talk today. We don't know the time has passed. And it's 9 o'clock. Oh, it's exact, huh? I didn't see the time. But for you to learn and profiling the 8 types, we have a seminar on June 8th. At our center, back of the Woodlands. And you're invited to come and bring your friends or if you have a husband and wife coming and learning the whole thing, it's so good because you'll understand what you're talking about when you profile everyone. And this can be used for business, for career, even for putting on business and studying your market, and even your relationship building. For example, George Bush, husband, and a Mother Teresa wife. What is their point of conflict all the time when they go to shopping? Mother Teresa will be slower, right? George Bush will be faster in driving. You better put your seatbelt. Secondly, is George Bush will go and buy immediately in 5 minutes what he wants, right? Overtaking everybody in the cash register. The Mother Teresa, after 2 hours, saying hi to everyone, hugging everyone, there's nothing yet. So what do you think will happen in 2 hours? That is... Let's go. They will not be talking in the car, or they will start to burst, right? Yet they love each other. So love is not always the binding force of people. It's likes and dislikes. How to harmonize expectations of like and dislikes. How can loving people fight if love is the one that is needed? This harmony of likes and dislikes. Managing expectation between 2 preferences. The one wanted fast, the one wanted slow. So imagine a George Bush with a Mother Teresa secretary. And Mother Teresa takes it easy, slow, doesn't want to fire anyone. George Bush will fire anyone on the day that he wants. And he wants it now or yesterday. And the Mother said, no, it's okay. Let them give them their time. And George Bush said, no, today is today, deadline. What if Mother Teresa is the boss and George Bush is the secretary? George Bush will bully the boss. That is, hey, yeah, I'm supposed to be the boss. So the problem is, if you have a very demanding partner and you're slower and your expectation is not, I say, augmented with respect to expectations, you will have always conflict even you love each other. is managing expectation through harmonizing styles. And as parents, the George Bush married to Mother Teresa will have two different sets of values, and the problem is the kids will be confused. The one with strictness, the one with like open. So without harmonizing the style, which is the ground rules in what aspect of the family will be governed by whom, then there's no coherent rule system and value system, which will confuse the children and other people. So there should be a profiling strategy. So come to our June 8th, and we'll teach you how to profile yourself, your children, your in-laws, your ex, if you have an ex-husband, ex-wife, and see why it did not work, you would know. If you have a company, we'll profile your company also.
What time? What's the time?
I think it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the direction is here. You can call us to give directions. It's very close by here at the back of the Woodlands. If 2978, or you can go 1488 and turn to 2978. It's very close, Tamin Road. Not in a research forest, at Tamin Road at the back. And if you have children, you can also come and bring them in. We can help you profile them. And we have a program in July for kids to teach them decision making, to help heal a lot of their problems during the 1 week period. If they're hyperactive, we will help you reduce their hyperactivity. If they don't have attention, we will help them with tools. So not only would they come for training day to day, we will also do a lot of healing on them. If you bring them with the problems, we'll help reduce them when you go out.
And when is that?
July 22 to 28.
23 to
20,
23 to 29.
July 23 to 29. 23 to 29. And
what age?
from 7 to 16, 17. And we can divide them by groups because we have a lot of senior trainers, plus me. And so we have also, there are many facets to this. We teach them a lot of techniques to control themselves, budget science, even material science. They understand at least money a little bit, material life, and also decision making is one big curriculum is decision making. Also on leadership communication, confidence building, self-control. So we combine also a little bit martial arts, meditation, yoga, and classes. And then they will also be in group formation, so they will have a lot of games every day, like 3 to 4 games a day. So they will not get bored by sitting. It's not a sitting. There's a time that they sit, there's a time they put games, there's a time they compete, there's a time they harmonize. You have to expose them to lose and win. Because if you train them how to win and not to lose, they will not know how to get up after losing. How to be a sports type, and how to do street smart decision making. How to put the boundary of truth and wrong things. So it's like to train their minds, their hearts, their 5 levels of intelligence: instincts, the emotion and intelligence, concrete mind, abstract mind, and intuition. It's a very rigorous training, but it's very fun because there are kids around the world who will come, foreigners who will come here, so they will learn from different nationalities, not only Americans, but there'll be Indians, there'll be Italians, Germans, there'll be Ecuadorians. There are many nationals that they will join, so that they will start to study that the world is not made up of one nationality and should not love only one nation, but the world. So enlightening global citizens in children, and educating the child as a human being rather than as the mind. So if you want to investigate on your profiles, you can drop by our office. We have a lot of senior members here who are helping families. And if you want to exercise with meditations, you can just take this one. It's 15 minutes only, 15 minutes. And I have not finished this with the thing of how to heal your traumas as parents and stress. This is the 19 minutes technique, if you want. And I wish I have time to demonstrate that technique, how to heal your past. But I think we have covered many things you wanted to discuss. Unless you have questions. Yes, doctor?
For kids with ADHD,
yeah.
On top of those exercises, what else do you
Okay,
guys
we have
do?
specialists on ADD, ADHD, and learning problems in our group, energy healers, who will do the job, because sometimes the children cannot sit put, like they cannot sit. So they're running everywhere, and we will be healing them without physically letting them sit. So you can come as a parent, and eventually we don't have to really let them sit. We will have the technique to do it without touching them. And we will extract a lot of energies that are aggressive or not focused. And then we give them some exercises, breathing. Now for ADHD, one tip. Let them sleep on the left nostril above when they sleep. This one is parasympathetic nervous system stimulation. The one that comes down people is the left nostril. If they're depressive, let them sleep with the right nostril up. The right nostril stimulates the extrovertness. I repeat, if children are hyperactive and violent, let them sleep on the right side, left nostril on top. And put pillows to squeeze them so that they will not turn in a few hours. When you are predominantly a right nostril breather, you are more aggressive and extroverted. When your left nostril is always open and right is closed, you are passive and more depressive kind. This is my finding in ADDs. Okay, this is a clue. If left nostril is open when you sleep, you become calmed down, your pulse rate reduces, you are parasympathetic. There are two kinds of nervous system in terms of controlling your nervous system. Sympathetic is the one that increases your pulse rate and aggressiveness, including sexual and digestive functions. The parasympathetic is the one that slows down heartbeat when you have flight and fight. Now the left nostril happens to calm you down. So when you sleep with your left on top, what happens sometimes? It opens the left more than the right, right? If you have closed, you do like this, it closed one. So when the left nostril is on top, it comes down the kid when they wake up. When they are depressive, it is with the right nostril above when they sleep, sideways. Even your husband. Since you have a territory on your bed, like a real estate ownership, one side is deeper sometimes than the other side. You sometimes have to exchange, because sometimes when you sleep all the time in one's predominance, you affect your psychological conditioning. For example, if you are very depressive and you're always facing to the left, to the right, you're always already soft. You become softer. You need to exchange with your husband so that when you hug him from the back, you're using the right nostril open. Now, this is one of the easiest solutions for ADD for now. Otherwise, we have a healing specialization for ADHD and learning problems. A healing technique, healing technology, which the healer has to do, not just the patient. Depressive children are easy to heal. Anxiety is very easy to heal. Sleep problems are easy to heal. In our system, it's a healing science that I developed. I'm the owner of the patent and the copyrights globally. So I have already developed this in 2 decades of work. You don't have to start from scratch. We just teach you. And you can learn and be certified also as a trainer in our system. You can be a trainer, you can be a healer, certified. And you can do a part-time career out of your techniques if you want. So it's a tool that you can use either to augment your careers or to set a new career or to use it for your children. So we have at least 2 levels available for public to teach you on how to heal. Level 1, level 2 is more advanced. But for ADD is another specialization because it's more rigorous. But techniques that I've taught you today, you can use them every day. If you teach a child that is very aggressive, 10 sets, 10 repetitions, like that, and they do it 4 or 5 times, they will calm down for sure. You just have them to imitate you. So if you do that every day and they see you doing it, they might emulate you and think, oh, let me do it with you. And children who are not focused, you just hold their hands and squat with them. Involve them first. There's an Oriental proverb that says, tell me and I will forget. Show me and I will remember. Involve me and I will understand. Practice with me, I added it, and you can master it with them. You need to show them and then involve them. Otherwise, telling them alone, exercise. Yes, I want to exercise, but I don't know. Or be positive. Yes, I want to be positive, but how? So a lot of suggestions, but sometimes people don't have the tools. So tools are important to augment suggestions. So with that, I'd like to thank the organizers. We have Nish, we have Sue, we have Renu, we have people at the back who have helped. Thank you very much for inviting your friends, and it's a lot of work to bring you here. And thank you, Maria Carmen, for bringing your friends, okay? And who else? Everybody who brought your relatives and friends, thank you. And I wish we have served you today by giving you tools. I wish we have more time to talk about your exact problems so we can have exact solutions and exact tools. But today is a day for us to meet, and I'm so glad that I've met new people like you today so we can help you and partner with you along the path of not only parenthood but as an individual human beings. You have more things as not just a mother or father. You have other things in life that is not just your individual role. They have many other things to conquer. So I wish you the best, and I hope you will use these techniques I've taught you today. Good luck.
Turning 20 is like the end of your life.
End of your teenage life.
Because of what's, she sees in society about all
Yeah.
these successful people.
Yeah, 20-year-olds is like a demarcation, delineation point between a teenager and a young adult. So, like identity crisis, Especially 20 to 21 is what we call last cycle. There are 7 cycles. From 14 to 21 is one cycle. From birth to 7 is another cycle, and 21 to 28, and so on. Even 42 to 48, this is like 7 cycles. Like seasons of life are governed by years, of 7 years. The 20 to 21-year-olds are on the crisis cycle, meaning to say they are more oppositional, they are more emotionally reactive, sensitive. And then when they're 21, they recover back the power. 21 to 22 is like the power cycle. Whereas 20 to 21 and even 6 to 7-year-olds are on a crisis of opposition. They become like opposition dysfunction disorder, some kind of resistance. 17 to 18-year-olds are on an emotional crisis mode. That's our most difficult years, 17 to 18, 20 to 21, and even 13 to 14, and 10 to 11. Those are cycles which we call fourth cycle and last cycle, amongst the 7-year cycle. I have rediscovered the 7 cycles laws of creation, which includes time to destroy, time to create, and time to preserve. Those cycles come in, and when they are in a destructive mode, destroyer mode, it's hard for them to create nor preserve. They're always opposing, they're always rebelling. And there's a time that they are also in a creative mode, and then preservation mode. So I will touch about the Trinity principle later on. So you will see that even you are governed by these 7-year laws, or the 7 cycles platform. Like if you are 48, 49, that's one of the most difficult time of your life. It's a destruction phase. Or if you were 34 going 35, or 41 going 42. Those years are the destruction years, where whatever you build tends to destroy. As if you are against the escalator, like moving upward and the escalator is going down. So the 7 cycle principle is very, very important for parenting, for psychology, and profiling children, and even teaching them values. Discipline is not the mark of a 20-year-old. A 21, 22, yes. But 20 to 21 is a difficult cycle for parents to deal with their children because they are on a rebellious mode during those times. It's not just about adulthood. All right, what else are your other concerns from the back?
I've got 3 girls. One had Down syndrome, the biggest.
Oh,
So
how old is the
14.
14 with a Down syndrome?
Yeah, and then I have
I'd like to thank you for being here. Without you, I'll be useless. So hopefully today we'll enjoy a few minutes, I think it's more than 60 minutes, of interaction about how to maximize our performance as parents or even educators or grandparents as well, if you are one. Anyway, talking about performance, we need to think what kind of performance. Is it as a parent, or is it as an individual performer yourself, when you're dealing with sports, when you're dealing with work, career, and other things? So let's see your major concerns. What are your major concerns at home? So let's start from there. Jennifer or okay. Yeah, you can spell it out, or you can use a friend's name or something. You don't have to be, yes.
Managing kids' anxiety.
Anxiety with kids, in terms of
like their anxiety.
Homeworks or sports or?
Yeah, like competitive sports, their sport is pretty competitive in general.
All right, anxiety and like kids that are toddlers or teenagers or?
5 and 8.
Okay, 5 and 8, wow. They're competitive.
Yeah, very competitive.
Yeah. Yes?
Academics.
Academic performance?
Yes.
Okay, so we have some issues of focusing, concentration, sustaining maybe attention towards the subject. Okay, that's common now. Bob, you're a pediatrician, so you must have some issues from parents.
Parents that deal with a lot of children deal with a lot of stress.
Stress. Parents stress or kids?
Or parents stress pass to the kids.
Or they're codependent in stress. Both of them give each other stress. Okay. All right, so stress. Robert, you are owner of a facility dealing with kids. What do you find in kids when you're training them?
A lot of times it's attention, the attention deficit issue, and focus.
Focus. And Matthew, you are a trainer?
Absolutely. It's empowering them to get out and learn who they are.
Okay.
Not who we tell them they are.
Yeah. Understanding who they are. Okay. That's a very philosophical question, but it's necessary because kids today associate themselves with just peers and playmates and TV and music. They forget to search from within, right? Yes, Debbie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I reiterate, I have a 20-year-old and just going through a lot of anxiety, and it's the peer pressure of...
As an individual, you affect even your spouse or your other people around you. So it has to come from yourself first. The children will be better if you are happier, healthier, and more harmonized, because that is projected to other people around you. So I always start performance with an individual performance. Then it is easier to manage your role performance as a career person or as a salesperson or as a parent. So the question is, what deters you from not performing? So let's start first as you, as an individual. And either you're a 20-year-old or a 70-year-old, there must be some common things that bars you or obstructs you from not performing. What are they? So when we identify that, then we can solve it. Yes?
Fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown. Okay. So anxiety comes in when you have fearing something you don't even know. Like you just feel, especially fear of your future, or insecurities about your state of consciousness, or unforeseen things. Okay, so fear of the unknown. What else? What really stops you from performing? Okay, let's start first the emotional side. Once we know the emotional side, we go to the mental side, and we go to the energy side and physical side. And then we delineate everything and we group them together into a solution. Because today we will have a solution. Yes? Any other, any obstructions of performance? Yes, okay.
Feeling overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed from work or from the parenting's job?
Sometimes just life in general. Just
Whole
trying to balance
thing.
everything.
How to juggle priorities? Yeah, especially today, we have all high-speed internet, high-speed phones, 4Gs, but we always say we don't have time. It's what we call time poverty. We have more and more things to do, and even with the faster gadgets, we still have not enough time to do things. So prioritizing our most urgent important things is also a science and an art. A lot of people today are preoccupied and overwhelmed with doing things that are urgent but not important, or important things but not urgent. And yet they have so much urgent and very important things that are left behind undone. So how do you classify your priorities? You make a list of them, things you want to do. And from the things you want to do, you classify things that is urgent, important, must-dos. You have enough time to do them. But you don't have all the time to do everything you want to do, that's for sure. But you can classify and juggle priority by tagging urgent and important things first, and you have enough time to do them. And make a list and start scratching them as you do them, as you finish them, and you would see that you are able to do things sequentially.
Well, she's not the problem. The problem is a 9-year-old. She's
9-year-old.
I just went into my bedroom and cried the other day because I'm like, there's nothing I can do. She's rebellious.
She's oppositional or just emotionally rebellious?
With herself.
Or she doesn't like herself, or she doesn't like...
she doesn't like herself. She starts with image things, dumb
Come
things. And the little one she's going to be 8.
Okay, there are children that were conceived a certain cycle of their parents, according to the 52 cycle rhythm for a year, that it positions the conception during a rebellious time of the parents themselves. You can transfer a DNA of rebellion through your children during conception. So when we plot your problems, we plot your cycles with the children when you conceive them and when you give birth to them. You see, the personality DNA comes with cycles of conception. And the relationship between parents and children comes with birth. It's a psychology that I have mastered. I even taught this in Sony Corporation in New York to executives to plot what is the best time to launch a project and when is the best time to conceive projects. And I can plot the projects that will do good and projects that will go down south by when they conceive it and when they execute them. So it's a psychology that is being taught to a lot of doctors, psychologists, schools, and educators and parents. I've taught this to a lot of corporate CEOs to master the power of timing of decisions as well. So those are tools that you understand the psychology of your relationship with your children. Because why do your other children have rebellious and others don't? And one is affiliated more friendly to the father than the mother. What is the cause? It can be seen in the chart. And once you understand your chart with respect to one of your children, and the others, which is sweet to the father and not to you, you would know that it comes from the cycle of conception and birth. This is what we profile children based on conception and birth. And it's a new shape of thinking when you are a parent to be able to understand why they act as such and others do not act as such. So it's a very, I would say, clarifying experience when you start to see the charts. It is not astrological chart, but it is similar to the energy that you have when you conceive the baby and when you have given birth to the baby. It's a new science to me because it's not written, but it has been experienced by more than, I would say, 14 years of my life researching. And I would not make any decision today without consulting the 7 cycles chart. Even a lot of people who are buying companies and mergers and acquisitions, they consult me for that matter of when is the best time to execute what idea. Because you can have the best idea, but wrong timing. Have you heard this saying, everything is timing? Timing is everything? So there's something that deals with timing to execute the most important things based on the auspicious time. The word auspicious is the best timing to do things. We can talk about that later on, but performance does not come only in terms of your eagerness to do good. It comes sometimes with certain principles like timing, energy, your mental conditioning, your emotional conditioning, your past conditionings, and even your foresight. So I will talk about some of these principles later on. Let's make first a survey. I don't see your name tags, but would you want to express your concern today or your expectations?
Line?
Yes, yes.
I guess expectation.
Huh?
You're saying one or the other? What are my expectations?
Yeah, or
what we're learning today?
Yes.
To be honest with you, I came with my mom. Your guess is as good as mine.
And he's a 20-year-old going on to 21.
You're 20?
Yeah, I'm 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's
So I hit the nail, huh?
Yeah, I guess when you were talking there, some things were coming about. I guess I could be a little bit more patient. So I want to learn a little bit about being more patient. As a 20-year-old, you tend to be thinking about the future, and you're always worried about what's going on, and you don't live in the moment too much. So I guess helping me with that would probably be beneficial.
Yeah. When you're overthinking about future, sometimes anxiety seeps in, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Good. All right. Who else would like to contribute so we can move on with the whole topic? On the back, is it Nancy?
Me? It's Mary.
Oh, Mary.
Yeah. A friend invited me, and I don't know what you teach.
Oh.
So I'm here.
Who invited you here?
Luisa.
Ah, Luisa.
She's not here.
Alatori.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But she's coming. But I don't know what to expect because I don't know what you do. So
okay.
I like her energy, and I like all these.
Yeah, we are talking about maximizing performance in terms of parenting and education. And of course, not only, when I say parents, do not take me only as a parent for children. As an individual, you need something. Sometimes you have what we call compassion fatigue. You are exerting so much time and effort to your children that you forget yourself, and then you get sick or you get burnout, so your moods will affect your parenting. See? Sometimes it's not about your children, it's about you, and then the parents relate with the children. So if you are not aligned, or if you are internally stressed and burned out and you cannot sleep well, therefore your parenting skills will be affected. As opposed if you were aligned and happy and doing good, your parenting will be like a natural thing. Because when you don't love yourself and when you're not inspired with your results,